Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learning English with Story. Today's story is about Donald John Trump, a man whose name appears on towers, hotels, golf courses, television screens, and in the White House. Loved by some and criticized by others, he is without doubt one of the most famous figures of our time. January 2017. A cold winter morning in Washington, D.C. Crowds filled the streets, cameras flashed, and on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, Donald Trump raised his right hand to take the oath of office. He had just become the 45th President of the United States. How did a boy from Queens, New York, become a billionaire businessman? A television star with the famous words, "You're fired?" And finally, the leader of America? In this lesson, we will follow his journey step by step, from childhood to business empire, from success to failure and comeback, from celebrity to politics. The story is told in simple English, so you can practice listening and learn at the same time. Stay with me until the end. Listen carefully and reflect not only on Donald Trump's life, but also on what his story can teach us about ambition, challenge, and choice. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York City. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful real estate developer. Fred built houses and apartment complexes for middle-class families. His work gave the Trump family both wealth and influence. Donald's mother, Mary Ann MacLeod Trump, came from Scotland. She valued tradition, family, and faith. Together, Fred and Mary Ann raised 5 children: Mary Ann, Fred Jr., Elizabeth, Donald, and Robert. Life in the Trump household was comfortable but disciplined. Fred wanted his children to be strong, competitive, and hard-working. He was tough and sometimes harsh, but he believed this would prepare them for success. As a child, Donald attended Kew Forest School in Queens. He was energetic, outspoken, and sometimes rebellious. Teachers often said he had leadership qualities, but he also got into trouble. When Donald was 13, his father decided he needed stricter discipline, so he was sent to the New York Military Academy, a private boarding school. There, Donald learned structure, order, and responsibility. The environment was strict, but he thrived. He became a good athlete, played baseball, and even became a student leader. This experience shaped his character. It gives him confidence, strength, and belief in his ability to compete. After high school, Donald studied for 2 years at Fordham University in the Bronx, but he wanted more prestige. So he transferred to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the top business schools in America. There, he studied economics and finance. Donald graduated in 1968 with a degree in economics. His education gave him a foundation in business, but he often said he learned the most from his father's real estate work. First steps in business after college, Donald joined his father's company, the Trump Organization. The company built affordable housing in Brooklyn and Queens, but Donald wanted to expand into Manhattan, where the biggest opportunities were. In the 1970s, New York City faced financial troubles. Many neighborhoods had old buildings, high crime, and little investment. Donald saw this as a chance. He wanted to buy failing properties and turn them into luxury projects. His first big success was the Commodore Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. The hotel was losing money and falling apart. Donald made a bold deal with the city and a large bank to renovate it. In 1980, it reopened as the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The project was a huge success. It not only made money, but also gave Donald Trump fame in New York. People began to recognize his name. Listen and repeat, hard work builds success. Now try to use it in your own sentence. The Commodore Hotel was only the beginning. Donald was ambitious, and he wanted his name to shine even brighter. His next project would change the New York skyline forever. Donald Trump wanted more than hotels. He wanted something that would put his name on the map forever. In 1983, he built his most famous project, Trump Tower. It was a tall, shiny skyscraper on Fifth Avenue in New York. Inside were luxury apartments, offices, restaurants, and shops. The building was filled with marble, glass, and gold accents. On the outside, 5 bold letters in gold spelled his name, Trump. It was not just a building. It was a statement of power, ambition, and style. Trump Tower became a symbol of Donald's rise. Tourists visited. Celebrities bought apartments. The press followed him everywhere. People now associated Donald Trump with wealth, luxury, and success. After Trump Tower, Donald expanded quickly. He bought hotels, office towers, and casinos. In Atlantic City, New Jersey, he built 3 large casinos. The most famous was the Trump Taj Mahal, opened in 1990. At first, everything looked golden. Donald appeared on magazine covers. He was interviewed on television. He presented himself as bold, confident, and larger than life. But the 1990s brought trouble. The casinos were expensive and carried heavy debts. The economy slowed down. Some of his businesses lost millions of dollars. At one point, he owed billions to banks. Many thought he was finished, but Donald refused to give up. He negotiated with banks. He restructured his debts. He sold some properties, kept others, and slowly rebuilt. This became a pattern in his life. Big risks, big failures, but also big comebacks. He liked to say, "I don't quit, I fight, and I win. Listen and repeat, never give up." Example, never give up working hard. Now try to use it in your own sentence. Donald's personal life was always in the spotlight. In 1977, he married Ivana Trump, a model from Czechoslovakia. They had 3 children, Donald Jr., born 1977, Ivanka, born 1981, Eric, born 1984. Ivana was strong and stylish. For years, they were a power couple in New York society, but in 1992, their marriage ended in a very public divorce. In 1993, Donald married Marla Maples, an actress. They had 1 daughter, Tiffany, born 1993. The marriage lasted only a few years. They divorced in 1999. In 2005, he married Melania Knaus, a model from Slovenia. In 2006, they had a son, Barron. Donald Trump now had 5 children from 3 marriages. Later, he also became a grandfather. His family often appeared in the media, especially Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric, who worked with him in business. The Trump family became almost as famous as the Trump name itself. By the early 2000s, Donald had survived financial troubles and rebuilt his empire. But something else was about to make him even more famous. Not a building, not a casino, but a television show. By the early 2000s, Donald Trump had already built towers, casinos, and hotels. But his next big step came not from real estate, but from television. In 2004, he became the host of a new reality TV show called The Apprentice. The show brought together contestants who wanted to prove their business skills. Each week, they faced challenges, selling products, creating ads, or leading teams. At the end of each episode, Donald sat in the boardroom, listened to their reports, and made his decision. When someone failed, he looked at them and said his famous words, "You're fired." The phrase became a cultural phenomenon. Millions of viewers tuned in every week. Trump's image as a tough, confident businessman grew even stronger. His children, Ivanka, Donald Jr., and Eric, often appeared on the show, reinforcing the idea of a family empire. For many Americans and international viewers, this was how they came to know Donald Trump, not only as a real estate developer, but as a celebrity and brand. Hotels, golf courses, and towers around the world carried his name in bold gold letters. For years, Donald Trump had spoken about politics. He often gave interviews, sometimes hinted at running, but never committed. That changed in June 2015. Standing in Trump Tower, he announced, "I am running for President of the United States." At first, many people laughed. He had never held political office. Some thought it was a publicity stunt. But his speeches were strong, simple, and direct. He promised to make America great again. He spoke about jobs, immigration, trade, and national pride. His style was different from other politicians. He did not use careful language. He spoke the way many people talked at home, plain, emotional, and direct. Crowds grew larger at his rallies. Supporters wore red hats with the words, "Make America Great Again." His campaign gained momentum. Listen and repeat. Leadership is difficult. Example: leadership is difficult in times of crisis. Now try to use it in your own sentence. In 2016, Donald Trump ran against Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State and wife of former President Bill Clinton. Most polls and experts predicted Clinton would win easily. She had decades of experience in government. But Trump connected with voters who felt left behind by globalization and economic change. He promised to bring back jobs, protect American workers, and take a tougher stance on trade. On Election Day, November 8, 2016, the results shocked the world. Donald Trump lost the popular vote, but he won the Electoral College. This meant he became the 45th President of the United States. It was one of the biggest political surprises in American history. Some celebrated, believing he would bring change. Others were shocked and worried about what his presidency would mean. Donald Trump took office on January 20th, 2017. His presidency was marked by bold actions, constant media attention, and deep divisions. Economy: he cut taxes and rolled back regulations. The stock market grew, and unemployment dropped in his first years. Immigration: he pushed for stricter laws and began construction on a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. This became one of his most debated policies. Foreign relations: he met with leaders from North Korea, Russia, and China. He wanted new deals on nuclear weapons and trade, health care. He tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. But Congress blocked most of his efforts. Impeachment: in 2019, he was impeached by the House of Representatives over his dealings with Ukraine. The Senate acquitted him, so he stayed in office. The media followed him every day. His tweets, his speeches, and his rallies dominated the news. Some praised his direct style. Others criticized his words and actions as divisive. In 2020, Donald Trump ran for re-election against Joe Biden. But the year would bring new challenges: COVID-19, protests, and one of the most heated campaigns in U.S. history. In 2020, Donald Trump ran for re-election against Joe Biden, the former vice president. But this election was unlike any other. The world was facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Millions of people were sick, businesses closed, schools shut down. The U.S. economy fell into recession. Trump's leadership during the crisis became the main issue. He held daily press conferences, sometimes giving hope, other times creating controversy with his statements. Supporters believed he was fighting for the nation. Critics said he did not take the virus seriously enough. At the same time, protests spread across the country after the death of George Floyd, an African-American man, in police custody. The protests called for justice and racial equality. Trump's response, sometimes strong, sometimes divisive, added more heat to the campaign. On November 3, 2020, Americans voted. Joe Biden won the popular vote and the Electoral College. Donald Trump, however, claimed the election was unfair. He and many of his supporters said the results were fraudulent, though courts and officials rejected those claims. The weeks after the election were filled with tension. On January 6, 2000, 2021, protests in Washington turned violent when a crowd stormed the U.S. Capitol. This moment shocked the world. Many blamed Trump's words for encouraging the unrest. On January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden took the oath as the 46th president. Donald Trump left the White House and returned to private life in Florida. Even after leaving office, Donald Trump remained one of the most influential figures in American politics. He continued to speak at rallies, drawing large crowds of loyal supporters. He launched his own social media platform after being suspended from Twitter and Facebook. Within the Republican Party, he remained a central figure. Some leaders supported him strongly, others wanted to move on to new leadership. But it was clear, Donald Trump's voice still shaped the direction of American politics. He hinted at running again in future elections. Whether he does or not, his influence is undeniable. In business, he still owned hotels, golf courses, and properties carrying his name. In media, his speeches and interviews continued to make headlines. Love him or dislike him, Donald Trump remained one of the most recognized names in the world. Donald Trump's story is one of ambition, confidence, and controversy. He was born into wealth, but he still faced failures. He built towers, lost money, and rebuilt again. He became a TV star, then the President of the United States. His story shows the power of ambition and belief in oneself, but it also shows that leadership is difficult. It brings responsibility, conflict, and division. For English learners, his story carries simple lessons. Work hard, never give up. Understand that every choice shapes the future. Now think about your own life. What dream are you chasing? What challenges are you ready to face? How will your choices shape your tomorrow? History and biography are not just about famous people. They are mirrors for us to reflect on ourselves. Listen and repeat. Dream big, work hard. Example: dream big, work hard, and never give up. Now try to use it in your own sentence. This was Donald Trump's story. A journey from Queens, New York, to towers, television, and the White House. Thank you for listening. I hope this story helped your English and gave you something to reflect on. Stay tuned for more stories each week. Simple English, clear lessons, and wisdom for both language and life.